Hey guys, it's me Nes, and I'm going to react to another WrestleMania video, which is 10 moments that killed WWE PG. Now, for those who notice that yes, the PG era is no longer exists. We're in the new Netflix era. People would say it's the Triple H era, and at this moment, it all started where when they no longer do PGs by the time when we Triple H was already, head of creative. But at some point, it still has that bit of PG, of course, because of the family audiences. And yeah, they don't want to go back to the old Attitude Era where it's too much for people, especially for the casual ones, to watch what WWE was. So let's get to see what are those 10 moments that ultimately killed WWE PG.
How you say? A lesbian.
10 moments that killed WWE PG. Be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell for daily wrestling videos and follow us on Facebook for exclusive lists. Also check out our videos on WrestleMania XL. Number 10, Stephanie McMahon gets attacked by Randy Orton. And there was a ton of concern heading into WrestleMania 25. Mania 25 was said to be the first Mania of the newly introduced PG era, and there was a lot of worry that WWE wouldn't want to deliver any hard-hitting, compelling angles.
Yeah, and it happened before WrestleMania. And to be honest, it's like it is personal, but let's face it, the rivalry was good, but the match wasn't, it was, I guess, average, I guess. But overall, this is the definition of what Ross would say equal rights, equal fights, where, yeah, anything was equality during the time.
Thankfully, that wasn't the case, as WWE delivered their most intense angle in years, and it centered around a feud between the McMahon family and WWE's resident top heel, Randy Orton. The content that WWE delivered pushed the boundaries of PG to the absolute limit, as when Orton encountered Stephanie McMahon, WWE booked Orton to attack McMahon in a moment that had the wrestling world talking. Orton would even kiss McMahon's unconscious body, which took the angle right to the next level, and heading into WrestleMania 25, the match between Orton and Triple H was without a doubt the most anticipated match on the entire card, and it was all down to this angle. Number 9, Rhea Ripley's antics. Now, over the past few years, one of the wrestlers on the modern WWE roster who's pushed the limits of PG is Rhea Ripley. During an on-air alliance with Dominic Mysterio, the two would often find themselves in compromising positions, and clips from their matches and segments often went viral and were seen by non-wrestling fans. Ripley is also prone to twerking and dancing in unique ways, to say the very least. But WWE have definitely allowed the former women's champion free reign when it comes to her character, and it's evident that Ripley is having fun virtually ignoring any PG guidelines, including her sexy pins. Number 8, bloodshed inside the cage.
It's crazy.
There was a ton of hype leading into CM Punk vs Drew McIntyre inside Hell in a Cell at Bad Blood 2024. The feud was without a doubt the top feud of the Triple H era WWE, and with them loosening the rules and guidance around PG, fans had hoped that Punk and McIntyre would be able to deliver a classic Hell in a Cell match that had intensity and, of course, bloodshed.
The bloodshed, it's kind of been normal because, well, throughout the PG era, there were a lot of bloodsheds, like the Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar in WrestleMania 34, or you can make an argument that it happened during the time that it's pretty normal. It's one of those things that, yeah, not everyone is willing to see blood, but that's how it is when it comes to wrestling. You will see blood regardless.
Thankfully, that's exactly what happened, as just minutes into the match, there was bloodshed, and the audible gasp from the audience was an indicator that this was about to be a style of Hell in a Cell match that hadn't been seen in the past 15 years.
And it's great.
The spots in the match were completely wild, and WWE didn't just deliver a match that belonged in a bygone era, they delivered a match that saved the reputation of the Cell itself.
Yes.
Number 7, The Fiend is set alight.
That's why Triple H made the right decision to make the cage doesn't look red, because that was kind of bit horrible, first of all. And then second, they bring back the reputation because, let's face it, you can't just make us Hell in the Cell that is not no blood, know all of this type of things. It's like it's just a normal cage match. So it's good that they finally, let go of that and then try to relive the old days, because that's gonna make things good. And people have no complaints about it.
Late. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic, it allowed WWE to take major risks and shoot major angles in a more unconventional manner. One of the top feuds during this time period was between The Fiend and Randy Orton. This feud escalated when the two rivals collided in a Firefly Inferno match at TLC 2020. This match was notable as the infamous match came to a close when Orton poured gasoline over The Fiend, setting him alight and seemingly putting a permanent end to him. Some fans did question how WWE were allowed to get away with it, especially because burning a man alive on television wasn't exactly family-friendly content. But despite the severe burns, The Fiend would eventually resurface on WWE programming, and they managed to show the impact of the burns on the character with the iconic wrestler introducing a new burnt attire. Basically, you couldn't kill the unkillable. Number 6, the Flaming Table. Now in 2014 at the Extreme Rules pay-per-view, WWE attempted to make the pay-per-view extreme by having a flaming table spot in the main event, yet it ultimately led to severe criticism from fans. The main event of the pay-per-view saw Daniel Bryan take on Kane in an Extreme Rules match, and this was the match in which Kane lit a table on fire before Bryan pulled Kane into the flaming wood. Whilst it was a great moment, the illusion was then destroyed thanks to WWE crew members hovering around with fire extinguishers just minutes before the match. Obviously, it was appreciated and understandable why WWE did this, yet they could have presented the spot in such a way where it wasn't obvious what the spot was going to involve. Number 5.
First of all, I will apologize for all the politics, but the fact that people criticizing over a flaming table, it's very obvious that it happened. Like, when you look at the old days, yeah, it happened a lot. Like the ECW or the WrestleMania 22, and the fact that people are complaining goes to show that, yeah, they just don't like what they have seen. But that's how it is back then, and it is an Extreme Rules match. So, of course, they will be flaming tables. Yeah, we're living in a different era at some point.
The thumbtacks return. One of the weapons that was abolished from WWE when the company went PG in 2008 was thumbtacks. Thumbtacks are an extremely violent weapon, and one of the main issues with them is that they instantly cause the wrestler to bleed upon landing on them. And with WWE having a no blood policy, the weapon was never going to be used again. But with that being said, at the 2016 Extreme Rules event, the Sinister Tax made a return during the Asylum match between Dean Ambrose and Chris Jericho. During the match, Jericho was slammed into the tax, and based on the reaction, the audience knew they had seen a rare TV-14 moment in the PG era, and it took the match to the very next level. According to Jericho, during a 2016 edition of Talk is Jericho, he was shocked that Vince McMahon approved of the decision. We were really surprised, Ambrose and I, because we came up with the idea for the Ambrose Asylum. We were surprised that Vince allowed us to use the tax. It hadn't been done in 10 years. It has been that long between tack bumps, and when the finish came in and Ambrose is going over, I have to take the bump on the tax. I have to. He can't take the bumps on the tax and then go on and win. It just doesn't make sense. It's likely due to Jericho's standing as a veteran, it heavily influenced McMahon's decision, and if anyone lower down on the roster made the request to use the thumbtacks again, it probably would have been instantly denied. Number 4, crushed to death. The TLC pay-per-view in 2017 featured an attempted murder, and for a while it was presented as if the WWE had just killed off one of their top stars. Braun Strowman was teaming with The Miz, Kane, and The Bar against a trio of Dean Ambrose, Seth Rollins, and Kurt Angle. During the course of the match, Strowman's partners turned on him and they decided that they wanted to put a permanent end to his existence. They would place him in the back of a garbage truck, and the operator of the truck would then reluctantly release the switch on the truck. And this meant that Strowman had just been crushed to death on a live pay-per-view. It was without a doubt one of the more insane moments of the PG era, and although Strowman eventually returned to WWE television, it was really never explained how Strowman survived this near-death experience. Number 3, Randy Orton's weapon of choice. The feud between Randy Orton and Jeff Hardy in 2018 was vastly underrated. What made the feud so special was that WWE allowed both legends to go all the way with the storyline. The two men were involved in some brutal segments, and their Hell in a Cell showdown saw Randy Orton use a weapon that should never be allowed in the PG era. In a rather creative yet sinister looking spot, Orton would thread a screwdriver through Hardy's earlobe and twist it until Hardy was screaming in pain. The spot was
Nah.
completely unique, and there was no way that this wasn't one of the most painful spots of Hardy's entire WWE career. Jeff Hardy would discuss the notable spot during an interview with the 11th Hour, and according to the former WWE champion, the secret was to make it real tight, but to ensure that the ear didn't come off clean. We did the first earlobe deal, with just the fingers, and actually one of the up-and-coming commentators, I think he's from 205 Live, he was like, what if you use a screwdriver? And then we kind of threw around ideas, and we both compromised on a certain screwdriver to put it in, twist it, make it real tight, and not rip it off. WWE quite rightly received praise for the spot as it made the match stand out, and it created a somewhat iconic visual that will be discussed for many years to come. Number 2. Dom and Liv. Dominic and Rhea Ripley's relationship harkened back to the Attitude Era, where Dom's real father Eddie Guerrero would be smitten with Chyna, a great throwback to one of the best pairings WWE ever made. However, the relationship between Rhea and Dom got incredibly rocky when Liv Morgan would tease her insatiable appetite for Dominic Mysterio and taking him away from her. The teases led to many memorable moments on television, as whilst things may have looked innocent and accidental, they certainly weren't taken that way by Rhea Ripley. One moment particularly on Raw saw Liv Morgan appear wearing Dominic's vest, engaging in a flirtatious exchange. She then invited Dominic to retrieve the vest himself, leading to a tense moment where he began to unzip it. However, before a full unzipping occurred, Rhea Ripley would intervene. Liv Morgan's flirtatious teases continued on until
Rhea Ripley intervene, or is it Damien Priest? Anywho.
Television, as of course we all remember Liv Morgan's shorts during that infamous segment between her and Dominic Mysterio. But this all came to a close at SummerSlam as Dominic Mysterio turned on Rhea Ripley and intervened, assisting Morgan in winning the Women's World Championship. And number 1, The Rock's profanity. Now, it's often been said that any established PG rules or guidelines don't apply to The Rock, and this has never been more clear than The Rock's run as a final boss in 2024. It was almost as if The Rock had no idea that WWE was a PG product, as every promo would feature some type of cursing or deviation away from the set PG guidelines. One of the most non-PG segments The Rock was involved in took place on the road to WrestleMania 40, and it saw the final boss ambush Cody Rhodes in the parking lot. This segment was filled with profanity, non-PG elements, and this was a case of The Rock doing whatever he wanted. Once the segment had concluded on Raw, The Rock took to Instagram to continue the beatdown, and this is where The Rock informed the world champion that he was going off script. What, just because the show's over? That doesn't mean shit stops. The Rock doesn't give an F. Show is over, then it stops? F that. Your script, F that. The segment got the entire wrestling world talking, and some questioned how on earth The Rock was able to get away with so much cursing and profanity. Also, when The Rock made a rare appearance on the NXT brand in early 2025, it was an expectation that The Rock would heavily tone down the profanity, but that isn't what happened, and The Rock just upped his level of profanity instead. In fact, The Rock's promo had F-bombs every 5 words, and it was clear that WWE censors had to work overtime. But there you have it, folks. 10 moments that killed WWE PG.
The thing is just this, because The Rock, he can do whatever he wanted, and yeah, it's kind of a bit obvious, but what can you do, man? He's The Rock, but that's how it is. And yeah, since he's the TKO board, of directors, he can say whatever he want to say, and that's how it is. But overall, this is a great video. So yeah, I think the blood is kind of bit obvious. I don't really think that it kind of killed PG. It's kind of bit obvious. They did it right in the Hell in the Cell, and for some other reason, the tags though was the one thing, and also the Jeff Hardy earlobe, that was the one that is kind of bit like it wasn't even that good. But overall, like, seeing all this to finally stepping to a new era is really a breath of fresh air, because finally we can get to experience what's like between the both eras. And yeah, I would say that PG was only right for the people who was willing to watch, but let's face it, it kind of killed the momentum, because wrestling wasn't all about PG stuff. It's all about how they built around certain things that you can say, those F-bombs and doing all these crazy type of bumps in certain objects. So overall, I would say again that this is a good video, and all I can say for you guys, thank you for watching. We will see each other in the next video. Peace.